For many, Goku was the first shonen protagonist, and as far as shonen anime goes, he was among the founders. Despite this, and despite Goku's incredibly dedicated fanbase, Goku's character was not emulated in basically any other shonen ever. You have a character like Naruto, for example, with the whole tragic backstory thing and how their dream is to become the top to prove to others and to themselves that they are worthy, and that anyone can be worthy. This is part of a shonen protagonist archetype, and it's the spout for Deku, Asta, and quite frankly, a lot more. On the other hand, you have your more friendship-based protagonists, like Luffy, who is a badass and also wants to accomplish his goals, but the main purpose is together with friends, and not at the cost of any of them. They are his focus far more than becoming the Pirate King, and this was emulated in Natsu, among others as well. And just to touch upon a third archetype, there's the reactive shonen protagonist. At least initially, he doesn't have a push or drive forward for his own means, yet he reacts in some sort of fashion, such as Ichigo, Yosuke, or even Tsuna from Hitman Reborn. All these protagonist archetypes, as I like to call them, have one major thing in common that Goku lacks, which is why I believe he was never attempted to be redepicted, except for maybe slightly in Gon, but that's a video for another day. All these archetypes are good people, and the one thing I both love and hate simultaneously about Goku is he is not a good person. Far from it, in fact. People constantly crap on Vegeta for being a major dick. But if not for his bad attitude, he's not much worse than Goku, which isn't really noticeable on first glance, but which makes it so awesome as you grow to know both characters at the same time. I intend to make a sequel of this video being the metaphor behind Vegeta's character, so feel free to subscribe if you end up liking this analysis, and like if you want more. First, please allow me to quantify what I mean by Goku isn't the good guy type that we see in all other protagonists, and how that's why I believe he remains to this day as an original character. While I could bring dozens of examples from the good old DBZ days, whether he's giving a Senzu beam to Cell or whatever, allow me to remind you that in recent times, he triggered the fucking tournament of power! And despite how well he fights, millions or billions of lives will cease to be regardless. Unless, of course, Dragon Ball Super decides to, do an ass pull where, no, the Battery Emperors didn't really mean to do that anyway, it's just they wanted to have a cool time, thereby making the outcome of the tournament essentially completely useless, just like anime seem to do with 80% of freaking tournaments. I'm looking at you, Naruto, and every adaptation of the Fate franchise, among others. The point I'm making is, whether the Xenocide will or will not take place, Goku's been a bit of a dick sack, and he doesn't even feel remorse for what he's done in the slightest. The most similar protagonist I've seen to Goku, as far as philosophy, funnily enough, is One Punch Man. He's a hero for fun who wants to fight strong opponents and is fighting for the side of good is more of a default position he's in rather than his obtuse convictions for justice. That being said, Saitama is one of my favorite protagonists in anime, and for totally different reasons than why I believe everyone loves Goku. One of the reasons so many connect to this one-track-minded simpleton of an MC, I believe, is because he serves as a metaphor that grows stronger and clearer in everyone's mind and subconscious every single arc. And everyone in a sense loves and desires how he's blunt and speaks his mind, yet with ourselves not being quite able to do so thanks to what society requests of us. One thing I, among others, dislike about Dragon Ball is despite the very different setting of each arc, whether it be on our home planet of Earth, on a distant planet of Namek, or in an interdimensional tournament, even though for the most part it's a villain that may have completely different motives, the formula is basically the same from Goku's perspective. Because while he's focused on his bout with a powerful adversary, the reason why he's on the good guy's side each time is because as far as the good and evil scale in his mind, he is slightly tilted towards good. Yet that does not remain his driving force to fight. He's the ultimate surpass yourself protagonist. And he does so with every single arc against all odds, with a new wacky form that, despite all the sighing and memeing from the audience, defies his universe's logic each time. And despite the predictability, it feels goddamn awesome each time. And one of the major reasons for that is, I believe, his imperfection as a sentient being. They don't feel comfortable saying this in schools, or basically in any media that comes out these days, which is one of the hypotheses I have as to why YouTubers, especially the freaking twats, get so much more traffic than the majority of TV shows, and that's simply because they're real people. So let this be a message to all you kids. Heh, you're not fucking perfect! You have your flaws and imperfect dreams. That's life. And I'm not saying that Goku's the ultimate role model for everyone and that's why he's loved. No, Goku's loved in my opinion because he's a terrible role model as far as widespread schooling goes, but he's a goddamn amazing role model as far as whatever isn't taught, i.e. chasing your dreams and not giving up, thereby surpassing every obstacle you deemed as insurmountable and defying what others consider logical. While the repetitive nature of these story arcs does not help enhance the Dragon Ball series as a well-written, incredible story, it does cause Goku's happy-go-lucky, to the point of insensitive mentality, to creep out of every predicament he's in. As a protagonist, Deku from My Hero Academia is extremely loved, and it's plain to see why. In fact, I already made a decoded video where I spend quite some time discussing the metaphoric power of Deku's writing, and he is the literal opposite of Goku, because he's so bloody perfect as far as his good and evil balance and his wholehearted justice. Deku can become a beacon of light that everyone should strive to become, as far as his mentality and outlook on others and on life in general. But unlike Goku, he lacks the flawed nature that every single one of us possesses in some shape or form that we can only truly surpass when we realize what it is. We understand Goku's not the brightest bulb in the box. We understand that he's one-track minded to a fault. And the beauty is he knows all that as well, which is why he's able to keep pushing forward and which is why he's able to keep winning. Everyone has or should have a dream, and everyone also has faults. The only way to reach the former is to surpass the latter. So unlike your perfect protagonist or your protagonist that strives to become perfection, that isn't even Goku's goal. In fact, that metaphor is destroyed by the character that is Frieza, which I would so love to dissect in a future video. But only because Goku isn't even trying to become perfect, yet trying to become as good as he possibly can. He is a character that will make every single viewer feel like they can also push on and go even further beyond. After all this is said and done though, believe it or not, my favorite character is still Vegeta. And if you'd like me to continue this decoded metaphoric series on the rest of Dragon Ball's cast, and how each character can emulate certain properties that, despite flaws in writing, can still be amazing pieces of art that every viewer can connect to, on even the most basic and simplistic of levels. Aside from that, I also have a similar video planned to go through all of Goku's attacks and all of Goku's forms, why each of them is perfect to enhance a different subconscious mindset of your experience with this series as a whole, as well as how each repetitive arc contains a very different metaphoric meaning as well, at least the good arcs do. There are some bad arcs, I hate to say it. So once again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'd greatly appreciate a like and a subscribble, as well as a comment on how you'd like me to run this series going forward, because that's based solely on you guys. Whether you're a fan of Dragon Ball Super, or maybe just got a little nostalgia blast from the old DBZ days. Either way, I appreciate your time, and have yourself a most wonderful evening. I'll see you next time.